In order to get clients and grow your business, you need to have people to make offers to. And part of making offers means nurturing first. And that all starts with an email list. That's why on February 26th, I'm going to be taking you through how to build an email list, why your business needs it, and how you can set up an automated funnel so that you can take strangers to clients with a funnel system. So if you want to join me for that, go to haleyrowe.com/webinar and sign up for the live class. I'm going to be taking you through the 4 assets you need for a high converting funnel. How do you make a freebie that people actually want to opt into and not something that's just fluff? And how to market and grow your list. So join me, and you can go to haleyrowe.com/webinar.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. I am your host, Haley Rowe. I'm a marketing and sales coach and strategist for online entrepreneurs, especially wellness professionals, life coaches, mindset coaches, people who are making the world a better place with their work. And I help them with marketing and client attraction. I help them with visibility, help you with figuring out your offers and things like that. And today on the show, because we talk about marketing, we have a very special guest, Jana, who's going to share all about herself in just a second. But Jana is a marketing expert. She's a content strategist. She's a Pinterest educator. And she also works with coaches, practitioners, and service providers. And she's the creator of the High Leverage Content, which is a system for turning your thought leadership ideas into a capsule library of evergreen blog posts that are converting fast and often. And it gets you off the content treadmill. Jana's current mission is to help her students lean into prioritizing evergreen content, which for anybody who doesn't know, that just means content that lives on forever. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to redo it. It has a long shelf life. It's out there in the world, just getting more and more views and things like that. And she wants to help you spend less time feeding the insatiable social media monster and make more sales. So yes, we are going to dig into that. And she teaches conversion blog writing and Pinterest marketing as 2 of the primary strategies that help people achieve this. So, Jana, thank you for being here. You've been a longtime friend and colleague, and we've collaborated so many times in the past because I love what you do. Share with us, why did you pick Pinterest and blogs as these 2 things you love?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. And yes, it's so fun to collaborate with you again. I love any chance I get to do that. So how did I choose why did I choose Pinterest and blogging? I think it goes back to like my story. I've been in online business for about 9 years. It's going on 9 years. And back when I first got started and I really like settled into my niche, because like a lot of people, I kind of tried out some different things, had some different kinds of clients in the online space. I really fell in love with Pinterest as a platform. And I started offering, once I had taken on a few clients for this, and I had a retainer client that I was doing content strategy and content marketing for, and she was doing Pinterest, so I was managing her Pinterest. Once I learned it, took on a couple of clients for it, I started offering done-for-you Pinterest setups and done-for-you Pinterest work. And one of the things that I started noticing was, because I was offering projects, I also needed to be doing a lot of marketing. I needed to always have like new people finding me so that there would be a pipeline of new people who also wanted to hire me for the next time I had an opening. And like a lot of people, I all of a sudden realized, even though I was a marketer, I didn't realize it until I realized it, that I was asking myself this question, like, wait a minute, can I be a booked out service provider or a coach or a practitioner? It's the same way, because you work with clients if you have this kind of work, right? And also, can I do that without also kind of taking on the mantle of being a full-time content creator, right? I'm thinking, wait a minute, okay, the way I'm structuring my schedule, I'm doing client work, I'm doing client deliverables on this day, this day, this day, and this day. And then I'm, taking calls on this day and doing admin work on this day. Wait a minute. Like, when am I going to do this? Like, when am I going to be a full-time marketer? Because it felt like I had to be a full-time marketer as well in order to always know where my next client was coming from. And so as a marketer, I put on my marketing hat and I solved that problem for myself. And I had some good role models early on, which was great. And I noticed that people who were thriving and had stayed in business for a while were people who were prioritizing that evergreen content and long form content and letting it work hard for you behind the scenes. So I started a blog. I wrote the key things in my blog that I felt like my audience needed to feel ready to buy my offer. And that's really what I focused on. I wrote those blog posts, and then I set aside one day per week. I'm sorry, one day per month. Sorry, full day per month where there wasn't anything else on my schedule. And I would take that full day and I would dip into my blog that I'd already written, and I would repurpose content for all the other places I needed to be and get that scheduled for at least 3 weeks, sometimes the whole month. And so I ended up calling that my capsule blog library strategy and repurposing. So it's like having a capsule blog library of 12 to 20 posts and then repurposing them instead of focusing on always putting out new things all the time. So that's kind of like my story. And that's why I ended up picking blogs. And also, and there's some other nuances we can talk about why I like blogs over other long form content for people. And then I picked Pinterest for its like kind of longevity, and it's there's other things I love about Pinterest we can talk about too. But yeah, so that's kind of like my story and how I ended up with these two things that I did for my own business and then help people with now. So
I love it. Yeah. And even if you're fully booked, like you said, you still have to, you're still going to want to have like a wait list in your business or something because you just never know. And it's a good thing to have. And you're right that if you don't have clients, most of your time, your full-time job is marketing. And when you do have clients, you still have to kind of keep some tabs on marketing, but you maybe don't have the full-time hours. So now you need to get smarter with how you're doing things. So with these blog posts that you batch, tell me a little bit about that process. How do you know those are going to be the good ones that you need to, those are the good topics and this is going to get great searches and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So my philosophy about starting a blog for marketing, if you're someone who wants to get clients with your blog, this is not like my program and my which is called high leverage content, and my strategies are not for people who are quote bloggers, meaning if you're starting a blog so that you can monetize it with display ads through like Mediavine and affiliate links and things like that, that's a different business model altogether. But my philosophy for people who want to use their blog to get clients, whether you're a coach, a practitioner, a service provider online, or even a service provider that's not online, or not primarily or only online, is that you should start by writing 12 to 20 blog posts that cover all the key things that your audience needs to feel ready to buy. And so I actually teach what I call unforced SEO. I don't even worry in the beginning. I don't have my students worry about writing around keywords or trying to figure out what people are searching. Instead, we take a more personal, like an individual or human approach, I should say. And we literally figure out what it is that your audience needs to feel ready to buy. And a lot of people, of course, come in like not necessarily knowing that. So that's like the first step in the 3 kind of step process that we use. And essentially what you need to do is think like, I need to communicate to the people who might buy my offer, who have the problems that I can solve in my offer, that I understand their problems, that I know how to solve them. I need to communicate that I understand what they want, like their desires and goals, and how to help them get there. I need to think about what things they believe now that are keeping them from taking the actions that I know would help them make this problem either better or go away or help them get to their goals, right? And those beliefs that we need to kind of shift in our content take different forms. Some of them are like industry myths. Some of them might be objections, things that people say to you a lot when they're asking you questions about your offers that kind of gives them pause about whether this is a good fit or if it's going to work for them. So instead of thinking about like, what keywords are my people searching around the things I want to educate them about, I really want people to shift out of that mode. You can write a little bit of that, but I want people to be thinking more about like, okay, what are the key things that my people actually really need to hear from me, to learn from me in some cases? And I know I said just like not really as much education, but sometimes there's a learning piece. And also, I think one of the most powerful parts is like, what do people need to understand more deeply? and how am I going to help them understand it so that they are feeling ready to buy. And we write about those things as opposed to just doing like the ultimate guide to, excellent gut health, or the things that you sometimes see people writing for what we call, SEO purposes. So
Yeah.
the cool thing is that when you write for humans, Google tends to favor that content anyway. And because of the way we write and the way I encourage people to write with a lot of your own personal observations and your personal experiences, your content ends up being very Google friendly anyway, but we're not putting keywords first. We're putting the humans first. So,
I
yeah,
love that. Yeah. So it's almost like what I'm hearing is you want belief shifting content too.
some of it. Yeah,
It's not just here's
exactly.
my 3 educational tips, right?
Hmm.
And you also mentioned Google, which, you know, this is the first time in history where now I've had people filling out my call form saying, oh, I found you through ChatGPT instead of Google. So what are your thoughts on the changes happening right now with AI and Google, and how is that going to impact blogs, do you think? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because over the years, having now written 2 capsule libraries for 2 different offers in my own business, because first I wrote a capsule library of, I say 12 to 20, and mine was 18 different blog posts that people needed to, I wanted my folks to read and understand things before. And it doesn't mean like everyone's going to read every single one, but these are the key things that people needed to feel ready to buy my Pinterest offers. And now I have a capsule library of the things that I want people to learn and hear from me and understand to feel ready to buy my program, High Leverage Content. Over the years of writing blog posts, I have seen some of my blog posts rank on Google. And what happened was once I started seeing which ones that I'd written for humans were being picked up by Google, I was able to go, 6 months, 8, 9 months, even a couple years down the road. When I saw that happening, I optimized them along with the help of some of my SEO friends, and got them to page 1. And for years, I was ranking on page 1 for a lot of really cool Pinterest search terms, which is great because I still have a Pinterest course that I offer. So that was a great lead source for me. And then, in the last year and a half, just like everybody else is saying, those numbers have just gone like boom. I am not seeing as much search from Google. But it's not something that has worried me too much, only because, like I said, the approach that I take is more about making sure that my capsule library has everything people need. And then I'm actually grabbing the reins and doing things to redistribute that content and making sure that I'm sharing it with any audiences that I have and that I'm building at all times in other places as well. So that's the first thing I'll say about that, is that because of the changes, I think that when we look at these changes where people are not finding that their Google rankings are staying where they were, or they're not getting as many leads and traffic and leads from Google, to me, that just means things change in marketing. And we need to make sure that we are not so locked into only one way of doing things that we can't apply what we know and what we're doing to new tactics that come along. For example, how do you get found on ChatGPT, right? And I'm not an expert on that. I do know a little bit about it, enough to be dangerous, but I won't give people tips on that because it's not my bailiwick. But I think that basically, I guess what I'm saying is that you want to make sure that whatever strategies you're using are evergreen enough. And I believe that when you are always anchoring your content strategy, and your content strategy, by the way, is not where you're going to post or how often you're going to post. It's what you're actually talking about inside your content that's going to get people to buy. And when you're anchoring your content strategy in the human brain and the human psychology, that doesn't change very quickly. It doesn't change as fast as algorithms or, trends in marketing or anything like that. We're changing. We evolve, right? But not very quickly. So I just say let's focus on the things that we know people respond to, humans respond to, and then be willing to be flexible about what tactics are working right now.
Totally. Yes. Now, when it comes to writing a blog, any tips for if someone's just brand new to this and they're like, I don't know if this is good, I don't know how to structure it. Any advice for them?
Yeah. So yeah, inside my program, there are 9 types of content that we write. I have a 9 and 2 content pillar system. And those are the things that your audience needs to feel ready to buy. And I have 9 outlines that correspond to those. So each type of content, we have an outline that we use to help you structure it in a way that hits the right conversion points and makes it so that it's going to be fun and interesting to read and just high converting in all those ways. So I would say, like, I can give you kind of a glimpse at like what one of those looks like. One of the outlines that we have for a post where you would explore a problem that you know your audience has and that they know they have. And that is something that you help solve inside your paid offer, right? So that's kind of how we pick the topic. The way we structure it is you do like an introduction and a hook where you show them that you know them and talk about how you know what it's like to have that problem and how they're feeling and thinking about that problem. And then you talk a little bit, and this is kind of the bird's eye view, so it's not a lot of detail, but this is the high level view. We talk about what it could look like for them if they do solve that problem, so that we're building that kind of like desire to solve the problem. And then I like to suggest that you do 3 tips or strategies or steps, and they don't necessarily have to be educational tips. They can be in the problem post. That's the one that I do encourage people to do a little bit of teaching in. It's less of a belief shifter and more of a expertise focused post. So 3 different like ways or strategies or steps that people can take that are unique to the way that you work with your clients. And I always recommend that of those 3, you make sure that at least 1 or 2 of them is something you do inside your offer, so that when you're talking about it, you can actually be name dropping your offer and talking about exactly how you do this inside your offer. That way, when you get to the end of the post where you're going to do a summary and a call to action, you're not just all of a sudden, oh, by the way, I have an offer. Did I mention? Like, I've never, you don't even know you're reading this whole post and, I really want you to follow this call to action and go and book a call with me, right? So we're kind of seeding the offer all the way through in that way. And then at the end, it's a very natural transition to summarizing what you talked about and letting them know what the next step in either your sales process is, or bringing them to a lead magnet if that's the goal for that blog post. So again, high level view, introduction with some of those emotional touch points, 3 strategies or ways of thinking that are new, or something that are at least 2 of them should be very unique to the way that you help clients and relate to what you do inside your offer directly, and talk about your offer. Don't shy away from that. And then we kind of conclude and have a strong call to action and pitch section for a blog post.
I love that. Okay. Yeah. Are there any things you'd want coaches to know if they're going to take you up on this strategy and they're, new to it and they want to be consistent?
Yeah, I mean, one thing we didn't really talk about, and I know this is something that you believe strongly too, we feel this, we both have this in common. I think most people who know a little bit about marketing do, is that sometimes when people see that I have a system where you write 12 to 20 pieces of long form content and then you stop writing new blog posts, you're not going to blog every day every week or every month for the rest of your life. You're just going to write your capsule library. Then you're going to transition to doing almost exclusively repurposing from that in different ways to the places you need to be. Emails, social, any other places you want to show up, presentations, whether they're live or speaking in summits or podcast episodes like this. They realize that, what we're doing here is we're cycling through these 12 blog posts and we're repeating the same things a lot. And inevitably, people sometimes say to me like, oh gosh, is it okay to keep repeating the same things, right, over and over again? Like, that seems like my audience might get bored, or it might be like, do I seem lazy because I'm not coming up with like brand new things to entertain people with, or engage people with that they haven't ever heard before every single week or every single month. And I think that I would just suggest, because we don't have, an hour to talk about that, but that people really open their minds to the idea that, and the truth in marketing, which is that you actually need more repetition of your main high converting messages in order to build trust, become known for your thing, and sign more clients. And you need more repetition, way, way, way more than you need to come up with brand new things to say all the time. So I definitely encourage all of my students, and I'm often reminding them, and sometimes I have to remind myself too, because I fall into the trap sometimes of thinking that when in doubt, we always want to be going back and repurposing the same high converting messages and re-saying them in the same way and in new ways, instead of thinking, okay, what can I say this week in my content that's like brand new, that I've never said before, or that no one's ever said before, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I
So
would say
glad you
it's
said
important.
that because I cannot agree more. We want repetition, and people need to hear the same thing several different times and sometimes in several different ways before it really registers or they remember you. So it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be reinventing new novel concepts all the time. And what about when people are thinking, well, there's already a million other people talking about this too? Like, who
Mm.
wants to hear from me? Any advice just from a mindset mentality on that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. I think that it's like, it's almost we have to kind of have one foot in two different beliefs almost, because when we're thinking about this, because on one hand, the fact that other people are talking about it probably means that there's a good market for what that problem is that you're solving, right? So if everybody's talking, you feel like a lot of people are talking about, I go back to the gut health example, like I'm talking about bloating and um the problems that we have when we don't have good gut health. um it's because there are so many people out in the world who are suffering and need that, right? But at the same time, it's important to carve out your own way of approaching it as well so that you can differentiate yourselves. So it's like, okay, it's okay that there are a lot of other people out there talking about this. That's actually probably a good sign as opposed to a bad sign in terms of whether what I'm doing is going to sell well. At the same time, we have to kind of like make sure that we're doing the work to excavate our own special opinions and approaches so that we can stand out. Otherwise, we'll just blend in. And that's one of the things I love about writing long form content, to be honest, instead of short form content all the time, is I think that what happens is when you're really going deep on something and you're writing longer form content as opposed to just scraping the surface all the time with, short social media posts or things like that, I think that's where you actually end up finding your most, like your spicy opinions and your most contrarian beliefs and things that end up really being the things you become known for and that help you stand out. So I would say that just like knowing that, but also making sure you're giving yourself the time and the space to do the deep thinking that you need to, whether that's just thinking or whether it's writing to think, because a lot of people do their best thinking when they're writing, to find those ways that you are different so that you can differentiate yourself from other people that are doing something similar.
Yeah, I
So,
love that. Yeah. And some people will just want to hear it from you because you're, as you said, it's like you have some differentiators or you're you and they relate to you more than somebody else, right?
yeah, that's a good point. Style.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So where can
Mm-hmm.
people connect with you, find you, do all the things online?
Yeah. Probably the best place if you're interested in the Capsule blog library and you want to find out how I structure it with my students and how we reuse it, like how often we repurpose the different pieces where, and learn more about some of the nuances of that. I have a free blog strategy training where I teach all that. And people can find that on my website at janaomedia.com/free blog training. So that would be like the best place if someone is like listening and thinking, ooh, I would like to have a Capsule library and then just move into my repurposing era and make, sign more clients with less time on content and less new things all the time and repeating my main messages through repurposing. So that would be a great place to learn from me. And then as far as social media, I hang out a lot on Threads and on Instagram, and my handle on both of those places is Jana O Media. You know what? I don't really hang out that much on Instagram these days. I just realized that. I hang out more on Threads, to be honest, but I am over on Instagram from time to time too. So that's where to connect on
Yes.
social. What about you? Where are you these days most?
I'm
Yeah.
loving Threads too lately, actually.
Mhm.
I'm glad you said that. I think it's a really great platform and it's so easy to train the algorithm to seeing what you want to see
Yeah.
and meeting people, connecting, networking, collaborating with others. I find that there's so much over there on Threads. So totally agree with you there. And anything else that you want to leave the audience with about, well, since we're at the time of this episode, we are at the end of 2025, but it'll come out in 2026.
Mhm.
So tell us what's one 2026 goal, thing you're excited about, thing that's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, not to sound like a broken record, repetition, but I'm so excited because I feel like I've seen, especially on Threads and other places, a real resurgence among coaches and service providers and practitioners toward blogging again. And it's never gone away. People say like, oh, was blogging dead and now it's coming back? Not really. But I'm just seeing a lot of people. And I think it's a combination of maybe, Instagram isn't giving us as much reach as it once did. And people are feeling like, especially in the service provider world, they're not getting as many referrals as they once were. Referrals are fewer, further between. And people are also really realizing that long form content gives you that opportunity to differentiate yourself, as we were talking about. So I think those things, that confluence of circumstances, is putting a blog on a lot of people's radar. And I'm so excited for that. Obviously, I'm so here for that. Yeah. And I would just say that if you're thinking about a blog in 2026, whether that means you're starting one from scratch to get clients, or you are going to like dip back into your blog. Maybe you have a few blog posts on your website that are from 2022 and they're not really for public consumption. So you're going to like revamp your blog. Make sure you come at it with like a real strategy for making sure you get ROI, because I don't want it to become something that's like, just a busy work. I want it to be something that really is going to get you clients. And the real big key to that is making sure that you are writing blog posts about the things that your audience needs to feel ready to buy. So don't try to write things just based on what you think people want to be educated about. Sometimes there's overlap between those two things, but make sure you're really focusing on the things that your audience needs to feel ready to buy your main paid offer that you want to sell more of.
Great. I love that. So for anybody listening, check out Jana. And if you want my freebie of the day, it is the free content roadmap. It's going to take you through how to come up with 30 ideas for your social media content and how to give good calls to action and how to just organize your thoughts with that. So it's available at haleyrowe.com/content-roadmap. And we will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.